Best way to start a smoker. Second cut hay.
And how do you keep it lit?
Stuff hay in there. That's it. You just stuff it as tight as you can get it. You light it with a torch. You stick the hay in there. You pump it up until the smoke billows out like a chimney, and then.
So that's about how much you use on your bees right there?
What you're gonna do is set the whole medium right on top of that lid.
Sure.
And then put the lid on top of it. So
Okay.
that no bees can get in.
Sure.
If we need to, we'll put the fume boards on and run the bees down and go from there. And don't throw them in the field where the farmer's got to cut hay, or you'll lose your bee fields every time. Scott, this is how we keep notes. Super simple and cheap. Piece of duct tape and permanent marker. Tells you everything you need to know about this hive. So here you go. It's full.
Yeah, that would be full.
The middle ones are capped, but these out here are probably full, but not capped. There's not a whole lot of bees, which is what I want to see. I don't want this packed because that means they have enough room. Okay. It's white. It's brand new wax. It's all brand new. You can see this box is probably 90% full. I don't know if you can see the nectar shining, but it's not capped, which is fine. But see, this side's empty, so that's good. That's good news because
room.
Yeah, they have room. So that means, you know, that doesn't mean they didn't swarm, but that means that they have a little extra room. So we'll move some of these frames around.
Well, that's beautiful.
Beautiful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it other than that. Okay, so treatment-free can't make honey. Okay, so here's your double deeps down here. It's 2 deeps and 4 mediums. And, you know, you see these guys with these huge stacks. Well, half of those don't have bees or honey. This is full. You can see here the different cell size. This was all drones at one point, probably pretty recently. And now the drones have hatched out of this small spot here, and now they're backfilling it with nectar, which is good. That's what we want. So now you can see a nice wonky comb here.
Yeah.
Which is fine. There's actually comb underneath the comb.
Yeah.
But they built this because they wanted some drones. Okay. And then we're all gonna eat it later. This will be our home on the way home snack. And it's actually beautiful underneath. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know
looks
why.
nice underneath.
And it's because I have.
You had 8 in there.
Right, I have
Yeah.
8 combs. So guys, they build.
They made their own.
Yeah, they wanted some
comb.
drones. And so that's fine, you know, I don't control them too much. So winter configuration in Wisconsin for me is 2 deeps and a medium that weigh between 155 and 160 pounds. What the bees are doing now is they're consolidating honey in these boxes up top in the supers, okay, which is fine because it relieves swarming. Yeah. So what we want to do is pack the brood nest. So they'll start packing the boxes. They'll start here and pack it full of honey. When this is full, they'll move to this one and then to this one. And what that does is it allows them to move down and stay in this box for a month and this box for a month or 2 months, whatever the bees choose. And then this is for spring mostly. So you want these boxes super full. You want like 2 open combs for them to cluster on. The bees need open comb to cluster on, and you want everything else full of honey. Or you do it by weight, because I don't have time to check every box every time. So I'll come back in October and I'll weigh the 2 deeps and the medium, and if it's 160 or more, I'm good to go. As long as they got a laying queen, what we call her good. When I come back to weigh all of these, the furthest highest box will get a 3/8 hole in the top super. Jason Bruns does deeps. He runs all deeps, and he uses entry holes and ventilation holes. I don't in the summer. I use 1 3/8 hole in the winter in the top super, and I leave my entrances open all summer. And then we wrap it up for winter with black tar paper. I use 30 pounds, some people use 15. Doesn't really matter. Festooning there a little bit. Doesn't matter what you use. Bees don't care. You probably don't even need to wrap bees, but people think you do, so. We're just gonna go down until we don't see honey anymore. We might move some frames around, and we're gonna try to get some of this honey off today and see what happens. So this is probably 40 or 50 pounds. So we may harvest this box. We may harvest the comb. We may harvest the
center.
Yeah, the center. We'll see. But so these bees got plenty of room, in my opinion, because they still have open comb up here, which is good. Because I don't want them to swarm. Swarming's good for the local population. And that's fine, but like I said, this is a business for me, so I also need honey to make money. Honey and money, that's what we need, boys and girls. Mostly nectar in this one,
It's cute to see him.
Which is still kind of a good sign, because that means that they're still pulling nectar in from
oh
somewhere.
yeah, well, you saw it coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, when they cut that buckwheat, the only thing left will be goldenrod.
Yeah.
Goldenrod and aster.
Yeah, because the hay's done. I mean, this will grow. The farmer will cut the hay again.
Won't bloom though.
But it won't bloom. So
there you go. That's a nice one.
So as you can see, this is like 90% cap, but they still got a little bit of nectar. So the queen was probably laying up here at one point. I mean, that would be 4 deeps. She'd be filling 4 deeps with brood at one point. So that's a big hive. The population in this thing is just huge. But they got plenty of room, so I'm not concerned about swarming or triple deep.
See, and that's what I kind of go on, is a triple deep. I want mine to fill up 3 boxes.
Yeah.
And have them completely full. I like it when I get out there in the spring and I can't lift that top box.
That's what you want. But you can also leave too much room.
Right. Yep, it's all about keeping an eye on it going into October.
What you can do to see if this honey's ready, open nectar. You want to see if it's ready. So turn the frame over and shake it. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. It's good to harvest. You can harvest this. It's fine. Good to go. It stays in the cells when you shake it. The uncapped nectar. If it's too watery, too much water, it will shake right out like sugar water. Here's a freshly drawn comb that they drew out.
This is a nice comparison. This one's a little bit older.
Yeah. Yep. You can tell the difference. And at one point, this might have been in a brood box. This might have been closer to the brood chamber or older. There's 2 ways to know if your comb is new or old, by color or by knowing if you had it near the brood nest. So don't work your hives from the back. It's the #1 reason you'll get a back injury this way. It's really much harder to, you're putting your body in a contorted position to lift out these frames. And each one of these medium frames is probably 7 to 10 pounds, depending on how fat. So don't lift from the back. Come to the side and work from the side. Work from one way to the other, and you want to work from the closest side to you to the furthest side, because what happens is, if you have an agitated colony, these bees are, look at this, whew, nothing. These bees could care less that I'm here. But what happens is, if you're reaching over, pulling this out, reaching over, you'll kill bees. And they get agitated when you move stuff over their hive. Just part of Langstroth. It's just the way it is. See, but this is what I was talking about with the open entrance. No reducer, because my colonies are all strong enough to defend. Yards that get reducers are A, colonies on less than 10 combs, which would be nukes, or colonies that are only 10 frames, which would be a single deep, which none of these we're looking at today are. You think a yellow jacket's gonna come up in there? In that full, I mean, this is a full open. This is fully open, except for an inch on each side. But look at it, look how strong this hive is. You can't even get a yellow jacket in there if you pushed him in there. They have so many guard bees, if a skunk was to come scratching, he's gonna be so stung up by the time he gets done that he'll probably be blind. Another good way, if you don't wanna inspect, I think everyone should inspect. But if you're just in your yard and walking around and futzing off or whatever, and you want to see if you have a queen right colony, just stand at the entrance and make sure they're bringing in pollen, because that means they're feeding brood. You can see. Now you see, this was drones from a laying worker hive, and they've torn them all out. Look at them, how they chewed that thing. They chewed him right up. I mean, chewed his dang antennas off, okay? And then they tore these out. He didn't really develop. He's kind of gooey because they didn't want him in there. But you can pull these drone broods out and turn them around. Look underneath his belly first. And you want to look right behind his neck, right there. And then you want to look at his body. And you want to make sure that there ain't no little red mites on there, okay? There's not any mites in his cell. There's his cell that I peeled him out of. There's not any left in there. And he is clean. I mean, he's clean as a fiddle fart, okay? There's no mites. If this hive was full of mites, he would have mites on it, because the mites are attracted to drone brood first. And when they run out of drone brood, then they start attacking your workers. That's why I don't do anything with my drone brood. I leave it all in because, dude, if you take all your drone brood out, whether it's on the bottom of the frames or you put drone frames in and then you take it out, you are putting every mite from those drones into your workers, okay, guys? Don't do that. Just keep an eye on them. That's a good natural way, without killing bees, to check for mites. Okay, you didn't put sugar in here. Don't be dusting your bees with no sugar and stuff. I mean, you can do that, but it doesn't give you an accurate count neither. So, unless you can do an alcohol wash. Wash them in alcohol, shake them up, count the mites. I've never counted mites in my entire career, okay? Just don't. I just don't do it. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I just don't. So now there's a few bees in here, but it's relatively empty, okay? So carry it over to the truck, and we're gonna harvest this. I had to put the fume board back on because there was still a few more bees in there that I wanted to see in the next one down. So now we'll shoot through here. So sometimes you gotta brush them off with your hand.
I like to blow them.
That works too.
Only with a veil.
Smashed it. Done. Throw your top on. Now, no more bees can get in. Okay? So, you want to put the top back on. No, you don't want to set it next to the entrance like that. That was kind of stupid. Okay? But you want to bring them back here and just kind of pound some of the bees off, and they'll fall underneath. Okay? Still a lot of bees in there. Alright. Oh, you ready?
Yep.
Can you carry that?
Yep.
Okay. You're good, huh?
Good.
Good. So now we pull the lid off quick, like so. Okay, make sure your joints are tight because
they'll find it.
They'll find it. This smells like heaven. It's really what is treatment free. Okay, so I'm going to give you my definition. I'm going to preface this with this is my opinion only. To get back to the root of treatment-free beekeeping would be a skep. And you do nothing with those bees. They move in on their own. Secondly, log hives, where you hollow out a tree with special tools and you allow swarms to move into your tree and you watch them fly in and out of the tree. Next, the next natural way would be a ware hive, which includes some management, but Abbe Ware believed that you should visit the hive twice a year, once in the spring to add to nadar, put boxes underneath, and to harvest the box on top of honey. Second was in the fall. If they had surplus honey, you would harvest the honey, okay? Some people say that's a treatment. I mean, but Abewari was like the treatment-free man back in the day. So use your own judgment, but I trust him. So he's harvesting honey. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that because he's not putting anything into the hive as far as a treatment. That includes sugar, essential oils, and any treatment, whether it's organic or not. That even includes essential oils, okay? That is a treatment. Anything that goes into the hive they do not gather themselves from nature. That includes open feeding, even if you want to consider that not a treatment because they picked up the pollen from your pile. Well, you gave them unnatural pollen, so that is a treatment. Anything you put into your top bar, ware, log hive, or your skep, besides grass to make the skep and poop on the outside to keep them dry, is a treatment. Now, is that the way I keep bees? For the most part, yes. But I do feed in the winter, in the fall, okay? I feed my nucleus colonies until they are sustainable on their own. Other than that, that's the only treatment I have ever used, okay? But when you have a small hive, you need to get them to critical mass, okay? So I can't consider myself 100% treatment free because I am feeding my nucleus colonies, and I don't deny that, okay? But anything over a 5x5 nucleus is on their own. There are 10 frames. Anything over 10 frames of bees never gets treated, never gets sugar, never gets essential oils, never gets water. Nothing. I mean, we're out here in the middle of nowhere at my hives. That's it. They're on their own. 10 days inspections in the spring and summer. A little bit tapers off in July because I'm usually busy farming and gardening and chickens and raising other animals. So it tapers off, and then in the fall it goes down to once a month. And that really gives them time to be together, become a colony, and then I come back in August, middle of August, late August, and I harvest honey. That's where I stand with treatment free. I think it is within the eyes of the beholder on what you think treatments are. But as a treatment-free organization, you can look on beverlybees.com. It lists everything that is considered a treatment to D. Lusby, who basically pioneered treatment-free beekeeping a long time ago. So if you're in question, I don't think treatment-free beekeeping is doing nothing. I think we touched on this in the truck on the way here. Please do not buy bees from any source or gather bees from a swarm and do nothing, because that is not keeping bees. That is watching bees. If you want to watch bees, I strongly suggest that. I love it. Plant some flowers. Watch the bees. Be mindful. Treatment-free beekeeping is not doing nothing. That is the wrong definition. Treatment-free beekeeping is putting nothing in the hive. It doesn't say you can't manage the hive, put in frames, take out frames, put in foundation, use a bottom board, use Langstroth, which all my bees are in, use a top, use a bottom. I've heard this crazy stuff about these people that say just keeping bees in Langstroth is a treatment. You're absurd, okay? That's absurd and that is wrong. So don't buy into that, please, I beg you, okay? You can manage your bees and be treatment free. That's the only successful way to do it, is to manage them and raise your own queens. That is my biggest message, if anything gets out, is treatment free is not doing nothing. Manage your bees, be a good beekeeper, raise your own stock.
As long as you got the general gist of things down, as far as beekeeping goes, really the management in itself doesn't change that much. It's just the style in which you do it in. Mm-hmm. You can apply whatever knowledge you have of whatever hive type you manage and switch over super easily. Yeah. And some old lady that I talked to suggested sprinkling cinnamon on the top, ground cinnamon. Not in the hive, just on the lid.
Right.
And I was like, oh, whatever. But I was like, okay, I got some cinnamon. Did it? Gone.
No,
haven't been there all summer.
Year.
Awesome.
Cleared out in like a day. I just think treatment-free beekeeping, to me at least, I can't speak for Emily, but it's just listening to your bees. You're managing a semi-feral, a semi-wild creature. So just because you gave it a house doesn't mean that it's not wild. It's not a wild animal. And wild animals, you know, with my profession, I think wild animals should just be left alone, and
See, now
and it's
this is some
per
good
See, there you go.
work
it's
with
per
her.
beekeeper.
Nice big pattern,
You know,
see?
whatever you're
Follows
comfortable
all the way
with.
around.
Treatment free, you don't need to
For a
put
queen
stuff on that people tell you
evaluation,
you
okay, for my
need to do.
queens, I expect
What you
one
need to
inch
do
on the
is
side.
pay attention to your
Okay.
bees.
If I'm doing
learn
mediums.
what the bees
I
are
think it
doing.
should be full
Like
from
this
wall
is
to
pretty
wall.
Okay.
interesting. It
Okay.
shows the very good honey,
The basketball
pollen.
shape.
shows the cross section of the comb. And you should know that. If you're gonna keep bees before you have bees, you should know that that looks nice.
The queen couldn't lay all the cells because there were already eggs in there from the laying workers. But there is larvae. She's relayed the larvae all the way around. So it's not her pattern that's spotty, guys. Okay,
Right.
I just want to point that out. And this pinhole, once again, when you start raising your own queens and you start doing treatment free, you really got to pay attention to small details. This is hygienic behavior right here. There's something wrong with this bee. Okay? What it is, we don't know, but for some reason the bees did not like it. Okay, it's not chalky. It's not chalky, it's not slimy, it doesn't stink. So, that bee might have had a mite on it. We don't know. But for some reason the bees chose bad. So, I let them choose bad. But this is only half the pattern. So the basketball pattern is 2 deeps plus a medium big. So imagine, I mean, it's probably the size of a large volleyball,
Yeah.
the pattern. So as she gets higher up in the hive a little bit, it's not going to be as tight. And some of this is already hatched out, okay? There's larvae relayed. Once again, another pinhole on this brood, on this drone, okay? Pay attention to this kind of stuff. See, he was gonna come out. He's got purple eyes. I can't get him out because there's so much worker brood. But once again, right here, a little bit more hygienic behavior. So I don't bring in a lot of queens, but I wanted to try some stuff out this year. Just experimenting. Okay, they're in a different yard 30 miles away, so they're in no contact, no drones in contact with my queens. Okay, so keep that in mind because I know someone out there is going to say, oh, they probably mated with them. No, they didn't. So I know all my queens, just so you know where they come from, who they're mating with, so whatever. But you don't want too much hygienic behavior. And the bees that I got were Minnesota hygienic queens from a commercial producer. Well, what did you think they're doing? They're breeding from the same queens over and over in the same drones. Well, guess what? Where I got those, they have over-selected the hygienic trait. And they're no good, okay? It's no good. They haven't even put on any honey. They're still in 2 deeps, and they were started in a single deep May 20th. And these bees were started on 5 frames, and they all put on 80 pounds. So, you know, take it or leave it. But just be careful with the hygienic stuff and selecting for that. I know that's pretty advanced stuff. I know most people watching this video aren't breeding queens for genetic qualities and different things, but I am, so I figured I would mention it.
Well, I think that's part of just keeping bees.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that there's advanced and not advanced stuff. I mean, technically there is, but it's always a learning process.
There's always more to learn.
So you shouldn't be scared, you know, even if it's something
The
that
cells, it was
that
actually on this one, but I
is
saw
more
flowers. Oh, okay.
advanced.
Is that what you
Yeah.
Everybody can do this stuff
Never seen that.
as long as you take the time.
So what they used to use.
If you don't have the time, you shouldn't do it anyways.
You gotta be careful how you space your frames. I mean, like I said, this treatment free is not doing nothing. It's paying attention to details is what treatment free is. And breeding a better bee than the commercial people have. Regardless of who you are. I know anyone can do it. If I can do it, anybody can. I promise. I'm not even smart. I'm just keep bees. I'm just crazy. I don't know. Anyone can do it. You just have to get out there and do it. Buy you some bees or catch you some bees and put in the work and don't give up. Don't listen to everything on the internet. I think we touched on that.
That's a good point, though, is patience is a big thing.
Yeah, much so. Especially with treatment-free and raising queens. And
Yeah, you're going to lose a lot of bees.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to remember that they're just bugs.
Well, and wait a minute. Here's the worst thing about that is, like, friends, family members, they like to start following you on social media, and they know that you have bees.
Yep.
And them asking you, where's the honey, where's the honey?
Yep.
That's what gets to you, is because as the beekeeper, it's one thing to be involved in the bees and to see them, and you know where they're at. But then to answer that question over and over, like, another year, and people don't get that. They don't understand.
So
well,
when
and it's
people
not
ask
about
you
the
that-
fact that you don't have honey yet.
Right.
It's about the fact that here's what the bees needed to get to the point where we have excess, or here's what we did to help the bees this year, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a good learning moment when people come by, but not everybody wants to hear it.
like we touched on, education. To educate more people about bees. So that the world and the internet and all these treatment-free crazy people like us and people getting into it that are just as crazy, but you know, I get tired of, I'm gonna rant for a second. I get tired of people with 2 colonies telling people what to do. Okay, so if you don't have more than 5 treatment-free colonies and you're not keeping them alive for more than 2 years, you should just pipe down a little, okay? Because you're making people that want to do treatment-free beekeeping, you're making them wade through comments and comments and arguments and arguments. Like, just don't do it, you know? Like, don't argue about stuff that you have no clue what's going on, first of all, because most of you don't. This is a prime example of an amazing queen. These are queens I raised. Once again, not someone else. But look at this pattern. Wall to wall. And this is all brood. Let's see if she's relayed it yet. I don't see any eggs.
Those probably just hatched.
I was going to say that looks like it just
Yeah.
hatched.
They're hatching.
Oh yeah, you can
the
see the
inside
very young bees right here on the comb. See these little furry bees?
Very light
Wait,
color.
what's that? Come here. Okay, I don't think
Well,
it's
these
not a
two-
mite. It's got comb on
Yeah,
it.
some of those light ones.
But yeah, so there's some really young bees, like this one. This is a prime example of a young bee right there. She's on, a whole bunch of them right by my tool. They're almost white. There's nothing wrong with them. I see that question online too. What's wrong with this bee?
Well, the first time you see it, they are small, and they do look like a different color, so it is almost easy to assume, like, disease or, you know, withering away, but it is exactly the opposite.
Yeah, it's a sign of health. So see this, they're starting to draw out a little bit. And see, so now we know we have a queen, okay? Because this is freshly drawn out. Like, she's wanting to lay so much. She's laid every one of these cells full of eggs. I mean, and this ain't even drawn out yet. She's like, I need more room. It's too late in the fall to give her more room, but she needs more room. If you can see them or not, but they're tiny, freshly laid eggs.
Yeah. Some.
Oh, queen cups.
Yeah, we found one on a cell before, but
See, like I said, she needs more room. So now we will have to go to the bottom box, unfortunately. Okay, but this is freshly drawn. This means that they are still thinking about it, even though it's late. But right here, see this cluster of bees? When you're doing inspections and you see something like this, you need to make sure the queen didn't get out. You didn't drop her, because they'll do this with a queen. So we'll touch them a little bit, but I think what it was Josh had some honey on his gloves. It's all what you breed for. It's all what you catch in your swarm traps, as Josh does.
It's important to note too, though, that it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
And you have to pay attention.
Always.
You have to come in here and manage, and that is different than that is different than all these. They're all separate creatures.
Yep.
Bees aren't what you're managing. You're managing hives.
Correct.
So you're managing the genetic of each hive, and you need to, like he showed you at first, you need to keep your notes. You need to do whatever you need to do. If video's your thing, if notebooks are your thing, whatever you do, but just you need to pay attention, and that's how you're going to be able to get your priorities straight. And when you're thinking about starting bees, set your priorities.
Oh, shoot.
You know, if your priorities isn't honey production, but it's having nice bees to show your neighbors and show your family, then pick all your nice hives and get rid of the nasty ones. You know, put that on the top of your priority list. You know, if you want bees that don't have sticky propolis, if you want them to have like a brittle propolis, pick the ones that make brittle propolis so it's easier to pull your stuff apart. You know, it's all about your priorities. There's no right or wrong way to really do this. It's just your way, and stick with it.
But this is like healing for the soul. I mean, this is like meditation right now. I mean, I'm like, this is like in meditation for me. The bees have the power to heal us as people, heal the environment. I mean, their honey is like the best thing in the world for antiseptic properties, swelling, you name it, any kind of health. I mean, God, it's just amazing. These bees are just, they'll save your life. Start keeping bees. The most successful way to get treatment free though, first is probably catching feral colonies like Josh is doing. Second one is breeding queens. If you don't breed your own stock, you're never gonna make it. So you have to start breeding your own queens, okay? You don't have to worry about hive beetles in the north. They're just not very prevalent, especially after winter.
I think the only reason they're up here is because of the migratory bees.
Oh yeah.
Bring them back.
Yeah.
They can't live in the soil because it freezes.
Yep.
So they pick the beetles up when they hatch out down south or or out west.
Yeah. Anyway.
And you know, they bring them back with them in the spring when they bring the hives back from
we checkerboarded
almonds or what have you. Do you want me to spray this down, Ethan?
Yeah, just maybe like 4 or 5 squirts and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is put the almond extract, we'll say, put the 2 supers back on, and there was no brood up here, so these bees won't have a problem moving back down. So we're going to confine them into 2 deeps and 2 mediums. It's a little more than I usually give, but this is mostly full, so this probably has brood and these are all brood. But once this full, they'll start packing further down and they'll be good for winter, and I won't have to come back and do too many inspections, and that's good. But look at this. I mean, you can see how much honey's in that box. And that's still leaving these bees with like plenty of room, plenty of nectar. That should work. I wish you guys could smell, because if you smell, there's a hint smell of dirty socks, which means that goldenrod is coming in. So let's just see. We may have to shake and brush and stuff, but so we'll see if this will push them down. You need this top to get hot, which is why it's sprayed black. And we'll see if it'll push some bees down, and we'll see. We'll just leave that bee for a little bit. It won't hurt nothing. So we'll move on and just check some stuff out here.